Good evening, everybody. We are back with another Phins Forecast show, a pre-Thanksgiving, a Thanksgiving Eve
Hey,
Phins Forecast show. We're super psyched. Dolphins are playing tomorrow, obviously, so we're going to go over the Patriots game. We're going to do game balls and jock straps, and we're going to go over this huge matchup against the Green Bay Packers
yep.
tomorrow night. So stick around, and we will be right with you. All right. Good evening, everybody.
She's got me hyped.
I'm still loving that new intro we got
Heck yeah,
going
man.
there. But so we're back. We're back with another Phins Forecast show. It is Wednesday night at 7:00, so that means Phins Forecast time. And we have a huge game to talk about tomorrow. I can't stress that enough. But we're gonna go over the Patriots game, obviously, do all that. But man, this game's so huge, and I'm
Is it a big game tomorrow?
man. I'm just
It really is. It's the biggest game of the season so far.
Yeah. I've been thinking about it all week. It's been the forefront of my mind. But first and foremost, how we doing tonight, guys? Anthony, how you doing tonight? Have any plans for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanksgiving Eve, as you mentioned before. If those of you out there for celebrating Friendsgiving, I know it's a popular Friendsgiving night. Throw us on the TV. Let everybody watch. That's good.
Yep.
We'll say hi. Put us in HD. Make us look good. That reminds me of when televisions first went HD and all the night hosts were talking about like their. It was nuts.
I've never looked so good.
Yeah. Yeah, but everything's
Robinson
good, man.
On the screen.
Yeah. I'm doing good. I got just one person coming tomorrow, so it's not a huge lift for me. But then going to get the Christmas tree this weekend after that, and getting the lights on the roof, and it's a whole production this weekend. So I'm ready to go.
Yeah, it's that time of year, man. I have to break the Christmas decorations out of the attic. That's gonna be fun.
I'm a huge Christmas music person. I've been listening since it started on the radio.
Yeah.
Same
here.
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Steve, how you doing, man? We got any plans for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, go to my mom's house every year. So go there and then go to my mother-in-law's house at night. And, my wife's really feeling it right now. She's super uncomfortable. I think the baby will be here probably within the next week or so, 10 days, if maybe 10 days. So we already decorated for Christmas just because got to get that in before the baby comes. And, she's been up in bed all day, just not even feeling well to begin with. So I've been running around a lot, working, trying to take care of her and watch football.
Well, you guys are certainly in our thoughts, and I saw Michaela a couple days ago, and she looks like she's ready.
Yeah, she's ready. Yeah, poor girl.
Yeah. Josh, how you doing tonight, man?
Doing wonderful, man. Thanksgiving is my absolute single favorite holiday of the entire year. As a culinary guy with a culinary background, it's my absolute favorite thing to do. My wife's dad and mom are here, and her father and I are both kitchen heads. So they come over a day before today. We start cooking, getting some of the meal prep done and everything, and then we go full force starting super early tomorrow and get ready for the feast of all feasts, man.
Yeah. Thanksgiving is a holiday built around food and football.
Heck yeah.
And those are my two
family
favorite things.
Food, and football, family.
Yeah. Yes,
in that order.
Number 3.
Yeah. They're my favorite things though. So it's just the greatest. And to make things even better, the Dolphins are playing tomorrow night.
Heck yeah.
Our first 2 games tomorrow aren't they don't seem to be that great on paper. Lions, Bears, Cowboys, Giants, but Dolphins, Packers. That's going to be a game.
What's the second game, Keith?
The 4 o'clock
Cowboys
game is going to
and
be
the
Cowboys, Giants. Yeah,
Ugh,
Giants.
God, what a dumpster fire.
Yeah, Cooper Rush versus Tommy DeVito, just like we all thought it would be.
I think DeVito's not playing though, isn't he injured? Didn't he hurt himself?
Okay, Drew Lock.
Yeah.
That doesn't matter.
Oh, Gabagool.
I gotta say though, I think the Bears might give the Lions a little push there. Division game on Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Bears have been playing some teams tough lately. They took the Vikings to overtime last week, so yeah, that might be a decent game. Cowboys, Giants. The only reason why I'm going to be watching is because
football.
It's the only game in town.
It's on TV.
Yeah.
We have a Friday game this year too. I think they did that last year as well.
Yeah,
Really?
well,
Dolphins
Dolphins
did it last year. I went.
Yeah.
Did you?
It was Dolphins Jets at
99-yard pick six right before halftime.
Oh, it
that's
was
sick.
Dolphins Jets. Yeah,
That's right. That's right.
This year it's Chiefs and somebody.
Chiefs Raiders.
Well, that's a good one.
Wolf.
I actually saw Frank the Tank there.
Yo,
Oh,
Frank the Tank is great, dude. I never met him before. I talked to him on Twitter a lot, though.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Dolphins played the Patriots on Sunday, and we're kind of burying the lead there because, yeah, that was a big game for the Dolphins, and they came out victorious, 34-15. Shout out to True Phins fan if he's out there, dude. You said 34-14. Well done. Well done, sir.
I want to know what your voodoo magic is, sir.
Yeah.
Outside of one game this year, he's been within a point or two every prediction.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's get into this. Let's get into this Dolphins Patriots game. What did we see? What'd you like? What didn't you like? Josh, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the elephant in the room, the low hanging fruit, whatever terminology you want to use, is Tua is now 8-0 versus the Pats, and I feast on this like my soul needs it because this is amazing. It makes me thrilled. I'm tired of I mean, I grew up being on the other end of that, where the Patriots were like 48-0 against us with Tom Brady and Gronk and all of that. So, it's nice to see the shoe on the other foot. But Chop, man. Chop had a really great game. I think Miami had yet another a game with consistently long drives, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
Penalties were down. I think we only had 2 penalties,
I think it was
3 penalties,
3.
something like that.
Yeah.
We forced 2 turnovers. I mean, just a solid game. I know it's against the Pats, but not for nothing. I mean, for as lowly as the Pats are, no matter, we talked about it last show. Teams in their division, always, no matter who's good, who's bad, you always play them tough. And Drake May, for all of his issues that he showed on Sunday, he's going to be a problem later in a couple of years. He really is going to be a freaking problem. And I will say the running attack was a little nerve-wracking. I hope it doesn't continue. I mean, all around, there's nothing but rave reviews, man.
Yeah, the running game certainly needs to improve. My biggest takeaway from the Patriots is their offensive line is an absolute dumpster fire.
Shambles? Yeah.
Yeah.
Reminds me of our offensive line a couple of years ago.
I know. They couldn't get out of their own way, man. It was ridiculous.
What they had, like 11 penalties or something like that? Like 8 of them were on the offensive line?
Yeah.
They were so undisciplined. Watching the game back again, I was like, this is awful. And I feel bad for them.
Yeah.
No, you stuffed that deep down.
Almost felt bad for him. We almost felt bad for him.
It was close. It was getting there. Like the meter was rising, and then I remembered all the Tom Brady years, and I immediately went back to that.
Like I told you guys before, I have a couple of friends who are Patriots fan. My best friend's a Patriots fan. And I'm texting with them throughout the game, and they're just, kind of radio silence, which is such a huge difference from a few years ago when the Patriots would be beating the Dolphins down the same way the Dolphins beat the Patriots down. They'd be, sending me texts every other minute, saying how amazing their Patriots are, and I feel like I showed a little class in not texting them the way they were texting me, but
big mistake. Big mistake.
I know.
Give it right back to him.
I should have laid it on thick. Steve, how you doing tonight, man? Oh, what did you think of the game?
Good. Honestly, I I love the game. First series on defense, 3 and out. Honestly, I loved the whole first quarter. I thought it was awesome. I know it 0-0 at the end of it, but Stevenson ran over Poyer early in
Oh,
the
don't
second
steal
drive.
it. Don't steal it.
Amazing. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
You're
but
good.
then
You're good. You're
Gibson
good.
Stiff arm the manhood straight out of him shortly after. So it's just kind of crazy to think we can't find a better safety.
And we let
but-
the other option we let him go. So now we're
Yeah,
starting with Poyer starting,
yeah.
which is devastating.
Yeah, but I mean, first quarter, I enjoyed it just because it was still 0-0 and kind of got to see a little payback in a different way to Poyer giving me heartaches. He got a pretty good truck stick and a decent stiff arm. But other than that, I thought the defense played really well, jokes aside. Poyer didn't have the worst game. He did stop a third down conversion. Could have been a fourth down conversion. I'm not sure if might have even been on both. He relatively played okay ball. The deep pass that they did score on was a Holland mistake. He kind of bit the route before, or as Drake May broke the pocket, he broke the route, which a lot of safeties do that. It's not uncommon for safeties to do that, and nobody
Well,
had.
we should have had the sack, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah. So it's hard to say, point your finger in Holland's face for that because it's a kind of routine safety thing. You're going to just drive the ball at that point. But, it came back and bit him. Wasn't a Poyer thing. So, jokes aside, he did play pretty well. And all in all, I thought the game was good.
You never give Poyer kudos on this show.
I did.
How dare you?
I know he's not anybody's favorite. He's not mine either, but he has had worse games.
Oh, of course.
We have a new viewer out there, guys.
Hey.
DS. Appears to be a Packers fan, but hey, you know what? All are welcome here. So thanks for
Nobody's
tuning in,
perfect.
man.
Listen,
Yeah,
nobody's perfect, all right?
And I've always kind of liked the Packers. Not this week. Hate them this week. But no, I've always kind of liked the Packers myself. But it's great to have a new viewer here. It's great to see a Packers fan. And we will get to that Packers game in a little bit, man.
Yep.
The
And I
next
will say
comment-
this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the next comment's really funny because Green Bay Packers hate Joe Barry so much, and it's even been talked about on NFL Network, ESPN, whatever you're watching. They talk about how Joe Barry went from the Packers to the Dolphins. We have spent 0 seconds talking about Joe Barry on this show.
Yeah,
I don't even know what he coaches, to be honest. He's okay, I guess.
I mean, no news is good news, right? It's like the offensive line. If you're not mentioning coaches, they're doing a good job.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah,
but I will say this about I know we'll get to the Packers later, but I've been a closet Jordan Love fan just for the simple fact that he was drafted in the same draft as Tua, and I followed those quarterbacks quite frequently. So it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
But sorry.
Yeah.
Go right ahead.
Anthony, what'd you see from this game though? From the Patriots game?
Oh gosh, we got Packers fans bombarding us today, but that's fantastic. Glad to have you guys here. Patriots game was what I hoped for. We kept talking about a signature win. I still don't think it's not the signature win I'm looking for. We'll talk about that later because it's this Packers game. That's the signature win I'm looking for. Yeah. But it was a dominant win in the way I thought we should have dominated last week. It's interesting. This team is a little confusing because we dominated the Rams, then we struggled with the Raiders, and then we dominate the Patriots. So, but man, I got to say that Jonah completely changes his offense.
It's so silly. It really is
nuts. I just grabbed him in fantasy. I spent whatever money I had left. I was like, because he's going to get 11 targets a game for the rest of the year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keith, we both have Jonnu Smith and Njoku.
Yeah.
We both need to bench Njoku for the rest of the season and
100%.
start. Yes.
Yeah. I wish I would have taken that advice last week.
I did.
David Njoku got me all of 1 catch for 9 yards, and Jonnu Smith went off again. So,
I put Waddle on the bench and he went off. So I mean, fantasy
same here. I had 2 on the bench. I had Waddle on the bench.
Jesus.
I had Jonnu Smith on the bench. Yeah, it was a bad week for Keith.
Hey fellas, I had all 3.
Oh,
nice.
One other thing I wanted to mention. I know we probably should be quick about this New England game because, well, it was a dominant win, and we have a much more important game coming up to talk about. But
yeah,
I agree.
Our run defense really worries me. Can definitely talk about that later. And just a lot of cool plays, man. I'm really loving what McDaniel's doing. Like, he went from being the kid on Madden that drawing up these cool plays every play that fooled nobody to just sprinkling it in at really good times. Like the end around to Jalen Wright was awesome, where he faked the handoff and then just flipped it back. I mean, it was so good. And some of them didn't even work. We did another end around to Malik Washington, see if we could catch fire there a second time. That didn't work, but I'm happy they tried it. So I just, I'm getting really excited about the coaches turning it around just as much as the players turning it around. I feel like they have been making such better decisions and better calls these past 3 games here.
Yeah, it's like the whole team just took a giant deep breath, calmed down, and got refocused. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There was a point in this game, fellas, this is the last thing I'll say about the Patriots, where we had 280 yards versus their 80.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It was really great.
Yeah. It was a dominant performance. I can't say enough nice things, but you know what? Let's move on to a little segment I like to call Game Balls and Jock Straps.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's time for the greatest segment in all of sports media. Game Balls and Jock Straps.
I love that. That's
a little something we put together for you. But yeah, so let's move on to Game Balls and Jock Straps. I'm going to start with my game ball first. And it goes to Tua, honestly. Like Tua, and Josh, you were just saying that they look more relaxed and they're getting better play calls out there. It's easier to look good when your quarterback is playing at the level that Tua is playing at right now. He's playing efficient. He's playing. I can't say enough great things about him. I was just thinking about this earlier, though. He should be. He won't be because his stats won't be there, but he should be in the MVP conversation because if you look at the juxtaposition between what the Dolphins offense was with him and is with him and was without him, isn't that what the MVP is all about? But he's just playing such great football right now. It's great to see. He carved this Patriots team up, and I know that's not the flex that I think it is, but it's but he carved the Bills up. He carved the Cardinals up. He's been playing great football since he came back from injury. Even in losses, he's playing great football. And I can't say enough great things about him, and he deserves my game ball.
Love it.
I'm going to go around the horn here. Anthony, who's your game ball?
Yeah, I'm going to piggyback off Tua and go with Waddle, man. Breakout game for him. We've been missing it. We haven't seen Waddle this heavily involved in the offense probably since the middle of last year. So fantastic. I made a note when I was watching the game that the offense just looks so much better when Waddle is involved. It just seems we seem to click a lot better. He went 8 for 144 yards and a touchdown. If that doesn't deserve a game ball, I don't know what does. So I hope we see it again tonight or tomorrow night. Sorry.
Yeah.
And Jalen Waddle, welcome back to the fold, dude.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. Man. It was really great to see him get involved.
He's one of my favorite players on this team, and when him and Tua are clicking, it's beautiful. It's like, and I don't mean to be over embellishing here when I say this, but it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The chemistry that they have dating back to Alabama is awesome.
I do actually want to hear, because I know we have like no Dolphins fans in the chat. It's Packers fans and Bills fans in the chat, which is fantastic. But I want to hear like your guys' perspective on what you think of Jalen Waddle, because I've watched some other YouTubers and it seems like Waddle to other fan bases is just like a meh second guy. Where to us, he's like that first round pick who we had before Tyreek and stole all our hearts. I don't think the feeling is the same outside of Dolphins fandom. So I'd love to get, other people's take on that.
Remember how you felt about Jarvis Landry? Like
what's that?
Remember when you felt about Jarvis Landry when he was the only one we have? I feel that same way about Waddle, but more. When Tyreek's gone and Waddle is that guy, like I didn't get a Landry jersey. I will have a Waddle jersey.
Oh yeah.
Shit, I have 3 Waddle jerseys.
Yeah. I remember I have a number 17 jersey, unfortunately.
Well, that I will.
players
I have
on
one
it.
of those too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guys, that's how I got my Waddle jerseys. I had 3 Tannehill jerseys, and I went onto a website and bought Waddle's nameplate, and then
Yeah.
went to my dry cleaners, and they unstitched Tannehill and stitched back on. It looks just like a Waddle jersey. It's great.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was like $30 and it's a fully embossed. It's awesome.
That's a good
okay.
idea.
That's
right.
I might
That's
have
why I don't
to,
buy them because they're always gone.
Nobody wants to wear the dang Tannehill jersey.
I might have to follow your lead on that one.
I'll send you the
Josh.
link. Anyways,
Yeah, he's-
Mr. Snickle Fritz, it's great to see you, man.
hey,
Back with you from your bye week. Bills have who this week?
somebody that's going to beat him.
49ers. 49ers.
There we go.
It's supposed to be a slow game, actually.
Hot take.
Purdy's not
Um,
playing. They ain't winning.
Yeah. Right on time. Yep, you're right on time for the segment. I take Waddle every day and twice on Sundays. Yep. It's Waddle has been the invisible man this year. He's been, he's had some key drops that we've highlighted on this show. He's, I'm hoping he gets it going. Him and Tyreek too. Tyreek hasn't had a great season either, and he was kind of the invisible man on Sunday, which is fine because Jalen got his just desserts.
I mean, we arguably have 4 guys that we have to feed.
Yeah,
1 or 2 of them is going to be the odd man out every week.
yeah.
So
And don't forget, we can't forget. I mean, that injury that Hill is playing with, that ligament issue in his hand, is no small thing to deal with as a wide receiver when your entire job relies on your hands. You know what I mean? So that could be also playing a part.
that catch on the goal line, though, where he just caught it and then spun his body in midair so that he would land on his back. Like, this dude is unreal. It's not even human.
He's a freak of nature, man.
Pretty sure he's a cyborg. We should have him checked out.
Or not. That's fine.
Let's see.
All right, so Steve, I'm going to go to you. Give me your game ball.
Jonnu Smith, 9
Yes,
catches.
sir.
Yep, 87 yards and a touchdown. His long was only 14 yards, but averaged 9.7. So he was damn near an automatic first down every time he touched the ball. He pretty much set the tone. He scored the first touchdown, underneath route, not afraid of contact with the linebackers. Keeping him involved the way we are is really opening up those mid-range passes where Tua really excels. So, keep 11 targets, and that's why Waddle was open all the time, because those linebackers got to play true. But he also picked up a good pass, or a blitz for a pass from Tua to Waddle when Waddle got open in the middle of the field in the red zone. It was a block and then go out and take your route. But by the time he even made his first cut, Waddle had the ball. So, I think Odell was originally supposed to be the answer as our third receiver, but I think we might have found our diamond in the rough.
Oh,
He
I hope
is
we re-sign him, man.
Oh, yeah, he's more of a weapon than he is a tight end. So,
You know what made Jonnu's game even sweeter, though, Steve? I've mentioned, I've my best friend's a Patriots fan. Jonnu was terrible
As a
with the Patriots.
yeah.
Dude, my very, very best friend, I consider him my brother, is a Patriots fan. And when we signed him, he's like, good luck, man. He hasn't done crap for us, and you guys are paying him the money. Like, whatever. Good on you guys. Hopefully you can get something out of him. Tell you what.
We've got more than something. We've gotten a lot out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. 29 years old already, but I wouldn't mind signing him to a 2-year deal after this. Give him.
I think he'll finish the season with 7. He's got 4 right now, 4 touchdowns. I think he can finish with 7.
Yeah, that's a good number.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, did you guys see that? Like, it's like Tyreek, Waddle, and Jonnu all have like 550 yards
Yep.
receiving or something like that. It's just like this perfect trio of
Well,
receivers.
if you guys remember, not to pat myself on the back here for a second, but if you remember when we did our hot takes for the season, one of our very first shows, I said that Jonnu was going to himself have more receiving yards in our entire tight end room last year. By the end of the season, he's already done it. I mean, so
Anthony, can I add something to your Waddle thing? So
yeah, please do.
Monday was Waddle's 26th birthday. Although he did not send us his invites like he said he was gonna, we still gave him the game ball.
Yeah.
got lost in the mail. Yep.
They must have.
I'm still waiting for it. I'm holding out hope, guys. Mail's slow right now. It's the holidays.
You know what? I'll give him a call. I'll see what the deal is.
Yeah, we'll
let
figure
him
it out.
Happy birthday to Jalen Waddle, though.
Yes.
26. Imagine, where were you guys at 26?
Jesus.
I would
I
love
can't.
it,
I
right?
can't legally say it online.
I
Yeah,
know.
neither can I. Neither can I.
26.
I can
Not
tell you one
crazy.
thing. On Thanksgiving Eve, I was probably out at a bar.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't playing football for the Miami Dolphins. Let's
No.
leave it at that. I mean,
Yeah. All right, Josh. Who gets your game ball?
Yeah, so mine's a little out of left field, fellas. And, I was very excited to see this player play for us when we signed him off of Seattle. And, you never like to see a player go in for an injured starter. Anthony Walker, for us, has been an amazing starter. But when he went out injured, Terrell Dotson stepped in. Amazing play. Admirably just locked it down. You could tell why he was a starter on Seattle up until they released him for some weird reason. In the 2.5 quarters that he played, he had 5 total tackles, a Pats defense, an interception. I mean, just everywhere, filled the run gaps very well, has great vision, amazing anticipation on intermediate and shallow cut routes by wide receivers and tight ends, and stood up very well against the run. It was just really, really great to see, man.
Yeah, and he's wearing David Long's number 11 too.
I love it.
it confused me so much.
Yeah.
Dude.
It confused me too. It's like, wait, he's back? What the hell's going
David
on here?
Long looks really good today. I mean, I thought we covered
Wow.
it. Yeah, he's fantastic.
Looks really
Yeah.
great on Detroit's practice squad.
I'm hoping Anthony Walker's injury isn't super serious. I'm hoping he's able to
It's
come back
not.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah, they said
Um,
he missed this game, but
yeah.
he'll be back the following week.
And if he does, then we have a decent trio of linebackers, guys. And when was the last time we could honestly say that?
Zach
So,
Thomas.
yeah, Zach Thomas and
Junior.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, I was encouraged by his play.
Mhm.
You
A
know,
small sample size, right?
Exactly.
Obviously. but-
Exactly. Against an inferior opponent. Let's see how he does against the Packers this week, and then I'll
Yeah,
reserve.
but I will
judgment
say
till then.
this: where it was against an inferior opponent, he lined up against that team's best player on a lot of as a linebacker against their tight end, and
Yeah.
did was stride for stride with Hunter Henry on quite a lot of plays, which is why Hunter was quiet.
Yeah. All right. So, Anthony, you wanted to do a couple of honorable mentions for the game ball.
Yeah, I feel like we can only pick 4 in a game where we had such a good game. So I definitely want to mention Chop. I mean, we mentioned him earlier,
course.
but
Hell yeah.
like 4 tackles, guys, 1.5 sacks, 2 pass deflections. That's huge. The guy's
Yep.
hands in the dirt most of the time,
Mhm.
and then 3 quarterback hits. Like Josh said, I know it's an inferior opponent, but we are seeing this kid just light bulb is
Blossom.
turning on.
Yeah.
In the past few weeks. So great to see. Pretty sure he's pushing versus the 2 Rams for rookie most pressures amongst rookies or something like that.
Oh, he over the last
Did he
4
pass
games.
him?
No, over the last 4 games, he's got 25 pressures. I think the
100%.
next one is like 13.
Okay. Yeah. But
Yeah.
Chop, we had a lot of bad things to say about Chop in the beginning of the year, so I want to make sure we say the good things now because he's looked good. And the other one I'm going to say is the offensive line. Last week I had said my key matchup that I wanted to watch was the Keon White, who had been tearing apart every offense he faced. He had 4 tackles in this game. That was it. No pressures, no quarterback hits, no sacks. Like we held them to 4 tackles. The offensive line did work in this one. They've been pretty good all year long. So want to give them a shout out.
Yeah, Kendall Lamb, man.
Yeah. The week prior, he held Max Crosby to
Max
5
Crosby.
tackles.
Yep.
So
That's what you want out of a backup.
And again, I went into this season super pessimistic about the Dolphins' offensive line, and I'm more than happy to eat crow on that one because
I will tell you this though. It is a very noticeable difference in the run game between Austin Jackson and Kendall Lamb. And I think that is where some of our issues are stemming in the run game, and why we're seeing some, albeit some decent numbers, but some lower than what is anticipated numbers versus the teams that we're playing.
Yeah,
he's much better in the pass game than him being Kendall Lamb. Much better in the pass game than he is in the run game, and it's very noticeable. But that is not a slight on him whatsoever. That is just some players are better in the pass game. It is what it is.
Getting blown up a little too much on these run plays. Like they're still finding seams, but the more often than not, like we are just getting hammered. Before they even make it to the line or make it to the hole, it's like Jesus.
Hey,
yeah,
and while we're giving the offensive line some love, and Keith, I know you'll love this. Patrick Paul balled in the second half when he went in for TA. he looked really freaking good.
Yeah.
Unlike
you know,
unlike somebody else who keeps going to mention.
We'll
yeah,
get there in a second.
yeah. So I might as well. First of all, the chop point you made, Anthony, excellent point. And Chop he's exceeded my expectations. His pressure rate is up there with guys like Myles Garrett and Max
Mhm.
Crosby.
Yeah,
Like
it's wild.
he's adventuring into that territory right now. Really cool to see. Really cool to see. You don't normally see this out of rookies as edge rushers either. So, like you said, the light bulb's turning on. Let's hope it continues to stay on because Jordan Love's numbers against pressure is not very good.
Oh, good call out.
Yeah, but I'm gonna get into my jockstrap, Skylar Thompson. So look, Skylar Thompson's my jockstrap. You need to be able to count on your backup quarterback to come in for mop-up duty and at least be competent. And on his second play in mop-up duty, he fumbles an exchange between him and Jalen Wright, and Christian Gonzalez scoops it up, takes it in for a score, and after that, Tua came back in.
That's
You can't
bad.
have that.
That's so bad.
You can't have that, guys. You can't have that kind of stuff. You need to be able to count on Skylar Thompson to come in and just close out the game, hand the ball off, and just give Tua a rest, give the rest of the offense a rest. You get my jockstrap because
You suck.
yeah, I'm
Sorry.
I'm just exasperated at this point, and basically from this point on, like even if the Dolphins are up 50-0 against some unfortunate opponent, I don't want to see you in there. I want to see Tua out
Packers.
there.
Excuse me.
I don't want to see you anymore for the rest of the season, Skylar. And I was hoping the Dolphins were going to kick the tires on Daniel Jones.
We did.
Yeah, but he's
We tried.
We were in it.
Us and 31 other
apparently-
teams.
Yeah.
We made an offer. But what we offered was that at the end of the season he'd become a free agent again, and he wanted an extra year, which is what he got from, I think, something like that from the
The
Vikings.
Vikings, yeah.
Right. And I don't know how that's supposed to work out for them because now they have J.J. McCarthy.
Who I loved in the draft.
Yeah, they have J.J. McCarthy. They have now Daniel Jones, and they have their starter Sam Darnold. Pretty
Interesting
crowded
choice.
quarterback room, but we're not here to talk about that. I want Daniel Jones in here to be our backup. We need to address this position in the offseason. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I take a rookie right now over Skylar. I mean,
Yeah.
Skylar's playing at a high school level right now, and I don't mean to over exaggerate, which I'm clearly doing, but he's the kind of player that I always say from other teams that, like Daniel Jones, like if he went to another situation, he needs to get out of his current situation to kind of hit the reset button mentally, because you can see he's overthinking.
Mhm.
Left foot, right foot, left foot, right. He can't even walk straight. He's overthinking it so much. And it's hard, man, because with Tua's injury history, knock on wood, not
Mhm.
saying it's a problem, but let's call a spade a spade.
It is a problem.
I mean, Wildcat from here on out, if Tua gets injured, I'll be okay with it.
Yeah.
I will say that when I rewatched it, I really thought it was actually Jalen Wright's fault. But then they took Skylar out of the game, and I was like, okay, maybe I'm wrong.
Well, it was honestly a 50-50. Jalen Wright didn't secure the ball, and Skylar pulled it a little because it looked like he was indecisive on whether or not he was going to hand it or pull it to throw.
I
It was
honestly
just
don't
bad
care.
all around.
I honestly don't care whose fault it was. Skylar was out there for it. Skylar was in there for 2 plays and couldn't be trusted to hand the ball off.
Yep.
So you get my jockstrap because Tua shouldn't have seen the field for the rest of that game. Daniel Jones went to the Vikings. Vikings coach is probably the best quarterback coach in the NFL. Who is that? Who's their quarterback coach?
I'm blanking on his name right now. Let me look it up.
DS.
Okay.
Who's their quarterback coach?
Yeah, throw it in the chat, DS.
Yeah.
By the way, Sam Darnold's a free agent there, so I mean they're probably bringing in Danny to back up JJ.
Oh, that makes sense.
It was just a 1-year deal for Darnold.
Yeah, but wouldn't you want to re-sign him after the season he's had?
Not if they can't afford him.
Fair enough.
I mean, they just gave JJ.
Oh, the head coach.
Oh,
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so Josh, give me your jockstrap.
I mean, mine's just reoccurring, fellas. I just hit the repeat button on my jockstrap. It's Jordan Poyer until he's off the team.
Yep.
Unless I'm tired of talking about him, and then I'll pick somebody else. But I'm not
What if
yet.
he makes it? What if he makes a game-sealing interception or something?
Doesn't matter. He's still Jordan Poyer. He gets my jockstrap. You know what? He'll be off my shit list if he if he gets a receiving touchdown, a rushing touchdown, and a pick six in the same game. How's that?
Fair enough.
Cool.
Fair enough.
I'll keep
Not a lot to
short.
ask.
Do what?
Not a lot to ask.
It's fine. Look, I'll keep it short and sweet, right? I mean, he had seven total tackles in a pass defense in a pass breakup, right? When you look at the stat line, he was active. But the problem with Poyer is that he is consistently out of position.
Yeah.
And he's making the tackle from behind.
Yeah.
He got, like to Steve's point, he got stiff armed back into last year. He got run over by Stevenson. I mean, it looked like a practice pad just got thrown at Stevenson the way Poyer crumbled. If you're going to fill the hole, put your damn pads down and make the tackle. Don't get run over like a girl. And I know, obviously, I'm not a professional football player. That's a lot of big talk from a tiny white guy that lives in Connecticut. But look, at the end of the day, you're a professional baller, right? You came in, and I'll say this every week. You came in talking all kinds of crap about Miami from the Bills fans. Oh, you guys, from when I was on the Bills, the perspective of your team was that you were weak. Well, you're looking pretty damn weak out there, and it's just ever since that interview, I've had a bad taste in my mouth about him, hoping that his play would turn it around, and it's just worse and worse every week. Not to mention on those two long passes that the Patriots had in the second quarter, they were both on Poyer because Poyer, he was out of positions, right? One of them, he followed the shallow defender instead of carrying with the deep receiver, led up a 19 or 22 or whatever it was to their tight end, Hunter Henry. Excuse me. And then the other one, he just got juked out of his shoes and then played catch up and made the tackle. He's not playing good football right now. And I'd happily give him back to Mr. Snigglefritz.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
Return to sender.
Honestly, you can still have him, man. We will.
Please, I'll pay you.
I will drive him to the airport myself.
Mr. Snigglefritz, and I know not a lot of people will get this. I'll buy you a pack on Ultimate Team and FIFA if you take him back. How's that?
Oh, there we go.
We'll trade him to you for Cooper. You guys aren't having a good time with Amari Cooper. We'll take him. You guys take Poyer.
And OBJ. We'll throw in OBJ too.
Yeah, we'll take
you can have
That's
him.
fine.
Yeah. And you know what? Might as well take Julian Hill while we're at it, right? We'll just fill the car up, send them all to Buffalo.
He's only in his second year, though. I'm afraid that he goes to the Bills, he ends up being a superstar.
That would be on brand, wouldn't it? All right, so Anthony, give me your jockstrap.
Yeah, I truthfully, guys, I had a really hard time. You guys gave me my jockstrap because I didn't notice, nobody noticeably stood out to me as having a poor game, which I guess is kind of the good problem to have when you win 35 or 34-15. So we're going to go with Odell Beckham Jr. He had very few opportunities in this game. The ones that he did have, he did nothing with, including dropping one of the most beautiful passes Tua's ever made. And we're going to say that every week because every week Tua makes one of the most beautiful passes you've ever seen. Drop in the bucket, over the shoulder, over the defender. Only person who could catch the ball was Odell, Mr. Hands over there, and he just drops it. Unbelievable. On contact, of course, because, he's soft. But I didn't like the Odell signing in the offseason. You guys know in our one of our first shows together, I was just completely down on this signing. I just saw too much of him with the Giants. I had enough. I didn't want to see any more of him on my team. So like Poyer for Josh, Odell is my Poyer, man. Everything he does wrong just gets extrapolated and magnified. And truthfully, I can't wait for him to not be on the team. The good part is that River Craycraft and Malik Washington, I don't know the downs count, but I did notice them out there a lot, which means that Odell was out there less, and I'm on board with that.
Yeah, I that pass that Tua threw, to your point, Anthony, was a sick pass. It was a ridiculous pass. He dropped it right in there for him.
In the bucket.
And then OBJ got up and was looking at his hands what happened?
Yeah.
My hands don't work.
What happened? And that's what kills me about OBJ, right? Is that he was brought in because of his hands.
To be that guy.
You know what I mean? To be and you just crap the bed. You poop the bed 7 ways to Sunday, buddy.
Yeah. To be the jump ball guy. Truthfully, Waddle's a better jump ball guy, and he's half his size.
He's all Waddle
It's
does
true.
jump for receptions.
It's true. And, I mean, that catch he made against the Cowboys when he was with the Giants, it's, one of the most iconic, one of the most unreal
Ridiculous.
catches.
It's like 5 years ago now, though.
Yeah. It's one of the most unreal catches I've ever seen. Any of us will ever see in our entire lives. But, it almost feels like he's been living off of that catch for basically the rest of his career. And it's time to your point, Anthony, it's time to realize this guy doesn't have it anymore. Give his snaps to Craycraft, give his snaps to Malik Washington, who I like more and more the more I see him.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
The NFL is just funny, man, because like injuries take so many of these guys, right? So many of the bodies just and Odell, that's what happened with the Giants, right? Like nobody lets a superstar wide receiver walk, but he wasn't a superstar anymore. His body quit on him. And he keeps finding jobs somehow.
Based on that catch, that's what I would contend.
I mean, it's more than that. He was really good, right? His
he
first
was.
3 or 4 years in the league, he was a legitimate superstar. But he's just not that anymore. And I feel like NFL coaches are just as bad as fans when it comes to not being able to get past the name. And that's kind of where we sit.
Well, I remember his rookie year. He won my buddy a fantasy football championship, like straight up.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
He was great.
He was popping off for like 25 points a game. It was ridiculous. And that was in we were in a non PPR back then too. And he was still popping off for 25 points a game. It was unbelievable. All right, Steve, you've shrouded your jockstrap in mystery all week.
Yeah.
So give it to us, man. Don't leave me in suspense.
So Skylar Thompson to Jalen Wright resulted in Mike McDaniel's jockstrap of the week. He was I know, but bear with me. He was 31-0 going into the fourth quarter, having probably the best coaching of his season so far against the Patriots. 13 minutes, 46 seconds, 4th and 15, though not his fault. Holland broke off his zone. Drake May broke out of the pocket, which resulted in a 1st and goal, ultimately 7 points. Now the Pats are feeling pretty good. They scored, and what does he do? He gets cocky. He goes in, sends in players with minimal experience, minimal play time, with a struggling backup who nobody even wants to see enter the game. I legitimately feel like Mike McDaniels, he doesn't do Skylar any favors to begin with. Keep A-Chain in. Put Mostert in. At least if Mostert fumbles the ball, it's now a Mostert. It's not on Skylar anymore. And honestly, I think as a veteran, Mostert can handle that high snap. So I just kind of think that Mike McDaniel really, he might have it out for Skylar. I don't know what the deal is, but within 2 minutes,
because Mike McDaniel watches the show.
Yeah, within 2 minutes and 30 seconds, they got 15 points. They were up. They were 16 points away, only two scores. So the defense had to stay tough. We only scored 3 more points, and Mike McDaniel clearly took his foot off the gas, and I'm not a fan of that, especially not to the Patriots. When they can't breathe, squeeze harder.
Yeah.
Listen, sorry, Keith. I wanted to jump in because I meant to actually say this when you asked us about the game. And I'm so happy Steve brought it up. This is a division opponent. I don't care if you're up by 103. You do not take your foot off the gas, ever.
Exactly.
That really annoyed me, man. When I saw your guys' text, because I wasn't watching at the time that Skylar was in, I was like, you gotta be kidding me, dude. It's only I think they had already scored, right? So it was a 24-point lead or something. I'm like, stop it.
But at least give him somebody with experience. Like, he took out most of the offense.
Yeah.
But what would Bill Belichick have done? If the roles were reversed,
shit out of us.
Yeah, he would have stepped on our throats and just stepped harder. Like, it would have Belichick would have.
He would have laughed.
He would have ground us in the dust. And
listen, I respect him for that, though. When people used to give him crap, he used to say, "Then stop us." And that's the point. You are professional football players. This is not college.
Well, and you know what, Steve? By all that rationale, like when you first said Mike McDaniel, I thought, all right,
he had a great game. He did.
What are you smoking? Like, I'm gonna come over and smoke some of that with you. But you know what? By your rationale, it actually makes sense, man. It makes sense. And you know what? Don't take the foot off the gas again. And like I said, I don't want to see Tua leave the field for the rest of the season. I don't care what the score is.
It was 3 quarters and 3 minutes of really well coached football, and then he decided to make a dumb choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it felt like it was a close game again. I was
Mhm.
like, is this gonna be what I think it might be? But the defense, they showed up all game. They weren't
They balled
tired.
out, dude.
Yeah,
Our
I mean,
defensive line in that game was
I was saying it the
Yeah.
whole time in the first few weeks is pressure. Pressure to the quarterback will get you up really far in this league, and that showed all game.
Yeah.
The interior, especially.
Yep.
They popped, man.
Another thing that we should bring up here, Shaq Barrett came out of retirement.
Yeah.
Shaq Barrett came out of retirement.
He got
Hopefully he's
his
going to
rights.
play for the Dolphins this season.
He said he would, and we own his rights, so he really doesn't have a choice unless we trade him.
Yeah. Be nice to see him maybe have a bit of a career renaissance with Chop on the other side.
He was one I was super pumped about in the offseason because I thought it's what we needed.
Yeah.
We'll see what kind of shape he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fair.
All right, so let's move on to Steve's
Oh, yeah.
segment. We're going to name it. We'll get you guys a name and an intro for it next week. But
Stay tuned.
yeah, let's Steve take it away, man.
All right. So basically I just kind of give them a quote or a little bit from somebody on the internet, and the guys go ahead and react. They don't know what the questions are, so this is kind of all just off the cuff a little bit. So the first one, sloppy play. They can't even put together a full, clean game, quote unquote. Josh, are we sloppier than I realize, or are we misproportionately blowing up 30 seconds to a 60-minute game?
No. I mean, look, I don't think any team in the NFL, specifically this year, or in particular this year, plays a fully clean game. I mean, what does that even mean? Right? I mean, penalties are going to happen. The other team's defense is going to make a very good play or two. Our defense is going to make a very good play or two. Our offense is going to make a very good, but so on and so forth. Look, for lack of a better term, crap happens, right?
Yeah.
And you strap it up every Sunday. You go on the field and may the best team win. And as long as we come away with the dub, I'm going to be honest with you. We on the show, it's our responsibility to the fans that tune in to watch this and to listen to us. It's our responsibility to nitpick, to talk about what's good, what's bad, what's okay, what needs work, because that's what we love to do. That doesn't mean that, look, we get the dub. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Agreed.
That's all that matters, dude.
Yeah.
Really. I don't care if it's 10-3. I mean, look, it wouldn't be pretty. We'd have a bunch. I mean, that'd be great for the show, but a win's a win.
I just didn't know if you saw something maybe that he saw that I didn't see, because
I don't see
every now
what
and again
most of our fans see, because they're some of them, man. I'll tell you what, on social media, they get me heated.
I had to stop going on
right.
social media because they're so crazy, dude.
So our fan base is so content with mediocrity.
Oh,
I hate that
Jesus.
for y'all.
Y'all.
That's how it came. So, Anthony, do we fall victim to our own optimisms at the end of lost seasons or early playoff exits, or is optimism something you need rather than constantly calling for a rebuild, whether it be internal or external?
I am so happy you gave me this question because I feel like I've ranted about this before, and another one's coming, okay? We are fans. It is short for fanatic. Do you know what a fanatic is? It's somebody who doesn't give a crap. They root for their team no matter what. You are a fan. If you wear the Dolphins colors, right? If you say you're a Dolphins fan, then be a Dolphins fan. Don't be a martyr or whatever the heck you're trying to be by blaming other fans and being negative all the time and losing one game. If we started 0-1 against the Jaguars, half the fan base would have tuned out already, because that's how fickle this fan base is. Goodness gracious, sometimes I wish my father was a Steelers fan, so at least I could have the backing of a solid fan base. It's part of me agrees with this guy, because our fan base, it's not that they're content with mediocrity, it's that they just don't care about this team. As soon as one thing goes wrong, they bounce, right? Tua got hurt. For 4 games, we didn't have our starting quarterback. I can almost guarantee you that the majority of our fan base tuned out. They didn't watch it. They don't care, because starting quarterback ain't there. Half of them don't even like the starting quarterback, first of all. And so now that he's gone, the player they don't like not playing, they don't want to watch. So I don't think content with mediocrity is even the right thing. It's just content with not caring about football enough. Like, I would love for this fan base to be like a better fan base. I mean, when you watch these Dolphins games at home and the crowd is louder for the opponent, it happens regularly. It's just sad. Like I was watching. Who was I watching? Oh, Rams Eagles, right? And the Eagles fans were way louder in Rams Stadium than the Rams fans, and that happens in our stadium all the time. And I'm so happy I don't live in Miami because I'd be so dang frustrated going to these games because I would definitely have season tickets and listening to that every single game and having to deal with opponents' fans. Like, man, I just wish the fan base would just enjoy the team, enjoy Tua, stop giving this guy such a freaking hard time. He's the best quarterback we've had in such a long time. And be more like the Packers fans that we have in our chat today, all right? They own part of the team. They love their team. They'll go out in freaking below zero temperatures to watch their team. Can't even get Dolphins fans out there if it hits 50.
Anthony, Steve and I live in Eagles country, and that team travels like you wouldn't believe.
Travels real well, man.
Yeah. I hate Eagles fans, but man.
All right, Keith. Tua will end up being the best quarterback in Dolphins history. Now, tell me how you feel and what you think. So we've had Bob Grease, Dan Marino. They're obviously the GOATs. We've had Jay Fiedler. He's won the playoff game. And then Ryan Tannehill. He clearly has an extensive amount of games over Tua, so his numbers are bulky compared to Tua's. Will Tua eventually eclipse Tannehill? Will he eclipse Fiedler with a playoff win? Or will he do greater things and be up in that same category with Bob Grease and Dan Marino?
Give it to us, baby.
It's a tough one. I don't envy Keith right now.
Lean into it, buddy.
I can give
you, but no, you know what? Barring injury, and I know that's kind of a cop out, but barring injury, I believe he can be. Yeah. I firmly believe he can be. I believe he can win a Super Bowl for the Dolphins. This Tua is not, some undersized, weak-armed quarterback that he's made out to be in the national media. See, that's the thing. Marino's way over Tua's level. Marino never won the big game. Marino always conceded to Jim Kelly when the lights got the brightest. And I think Tua is a different type of quarterback. I said it last week. I'll say it again. I've often compared Tua to guys like Drew Brees and Peyton Manning, guys without ideal arm strength, guys that their whole game was predicated on throwing with accuracy and anticipation. It takes a while for guys like that to get their footing in the NFL. Peyton Manning didn't win his first playoff game until his sixth season. Drew Brees didn't win his first playoff game until he was on another team in the Saints. You don't just toss a quarterback like Tua out there and expect results immediately. These guys have to get their feet wet. They have to become better and better and just improve in small steps. And Tua's done that every year, man. I think, and I understand what you're saying about Marino. Marino was great.
He's a total package.
Marino was
in
great.
My opinion, I do think Tua is the best quarterback that we've ever had. I mean, he's smart. He has the same release.
Not yet.
Not by the record. I'm saying by physical trait of a quarterback. I would take Tua. I'm not saying I would take Tua over Dan Marino. If you gave Dan Marino Tua's ability to read the defense as fast, he would have way less picks, way more touchdowns. If you gave Dan Marino's ability to fit, like Dan Marino had the ability to fit those pockets, but his long ball was way more deadly than Tua's. I think that's where Dan Marino eclipses Tua, but everywhere else, I see Tua and Dan Marino right there, 50-50.
I don't know, man. Like, I think it's way too early to say something that bold, right? I respect the cojones to come out and say that, but I think to Keith's point, right? I mean, we're the year 5, 6,
Yeah.
right, into his career. Like, we got some time. Look, if you put Marino on this team with these rules today, he'd have like 8,000 yards a season, right?
Maybe.
You know, I mean,
His offense
imagine
was
him
way
with
much more
Tyreek,
simple, and the defense was way much different.
bro. Imagine him with Tyreek and Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Stop
to
it.
Steve's point, his defenses he was facing weren't nearly as fast, right? Like the game
True.
has changed towards the speed.
Very
Like
true.
that's why it's so hard to compare generations, man. Like
Yeah.
And that's what I was getting at.
The windows that Tua's hitting are so tight and so small. There were windows that Marino wouldn't even take. Like the windows that Marino hit, they look awesome, but in real life, like those are the same windows now that Mitch Trubisky should be hitting. Like the game has just evolved. That saying that Tua isn't any better than Marino is like saying the game hasn't evolved.
Well,
for
but here's
20
my
years.
thing, right? This is comparing apples, and this is one of my
Yeah, yeah,
biggest. I get into arguments with fans all the time, not arguments, calculated discussions with other Dolphins fans on all of the other tests. It's like, oh well, how would you compare Tua to Marino? How would you compare? You can't. It's apples and oranges, right? To your guys' point, this is different eras, different teams, different coaching styles, different defenses. To your guys' point, you can't. The only thing that we can do is, to Anthony's point, enjoy the now, right? Enjoy the fact that we have, and I know a lot of fans don't agree with this, we have a very damn good quarterback.
Mhm.
We have in my opinion, and again, for everyone listening, this is just my opinion, so don't berate me too much when I say this. I think we have a top 7 quarterback in this league. Right?
Yeah.
And
that is perfect for this next question.
oh, perfect.
Can I segue right into it? Because this goes right to you, Josh. So here we go. This is from Dan Orlowski. There
I
aren't
saw this.
5 quarterbacks more important to their team than Tua. And
One.
that, to me, wants to know do you think Tua could win an MVP this
Let me
year?
just
And if-
let me just interject something real quick. There are very few people out there doing it better than Dan Orlovsky.
Very true. Dan
Yeah.
Orlovsky is one of my favorites, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say this. I'll say this. If the MVP award, and I'm stealing something from, I think actually Dan Orlovsky said this, right? If the MVP award was truly the most valuable player to a team, not who's the quarterback who has the best record, which is what the MVP is nowadays, right? What quarterback broke the most records this year? Oh, that's who's getting it. But if the MVP was truly the most valuable player to a given team, I do not know how you can not give it to Tua this year. Look at what we were with the same players outside of the quarterback position. Look where we were for that 4-game stretch versus where we are now. It is statistically proven that he makes us a playoff caliber team, a Super Bowl caliber team, in my opinion. Again, just my opinion, just one man's opinion. But yeah, I don't think there is 2 more important quarterbacks to their team than Tua.
I think the problem with this statement is that the quarterback is the most important position in the league, and most teams that lose their quarterback would crumble and die. There's very few. I think maybe the Steelers probably wouldn't. We saw it with the Browns last year; they handled it well, but this year not so much. But like, what if Jordan Love went down? Like, would you guys be scared of this Packers game tomorrow? I certainly wouldn't be as scared, even though Malik has played well in the beginning of the year when Jordan couldn't play. That's a really
when you look at player versus scheme fit, I don't think there's a better combo in my opinion.
I don't think so either.
And I'm talking about Patrick in Kansas City. I'm talking about Josh in Buffalo. I genuinely do not think that there is a better quarterback to scheme fit than Tua and Mike McDaniel's offense in Miami. And
some good points in the chat too. Absolutely, yes, 100%.
True.
And Pack is 3-0 with a backup quarterback. So okay, points
in
proven.
in those games they leaned heavily on Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Something the Dolphins maybe couldn't do or didn't do. Maybe that's on Mike McDaniel. I don't know what the reasoning for it is, but Malik Willis was at least competent. Malik Willis was able to play within the confines of that system, and the Dolphins had backup quarterbacks that couldn't.
So I think the problem with potentially giving guys an MVP in a situation like this is that you could end up giving an injured guy the MVP. Like the year that Peyton Manning went down, the Colts went 1-15, right? You could argue he was the most important piece to that team, and he should be the MVP. Nobody wants to see a 1-15 core team have an MVP.
But that's the problem, though, right? Because that, to me, I think it shouldn't be called the most valuable player. Because it shouldn't matter what your record is, in my opinion. I don't give a shit about what your team. This is a team sport, right? So if you're 1-15, that's not just on the one player in conversation, right?
No.
If you are clearly if your team is hot garbage without you, you come back and you are substantially better, more so than any other team in the NFL right now, from a apples to apples, right? I'm not saying Tua's the MVP, but I'm saying I could have the conversation honestly where I could see him being in the MVP conversation.
I think I would much rather see other positions start to get more involved. Like I think MVP undoubtedly needs to be kind of revisited as maybe like the best quarterback or something. But like, man, when you look at guys like what Derrick Henry and Saquon are doing this year, they probably won't even get a single MVP vote. Like. It's pretty crazy. That year who was it? The defensive end for the Browns, Myles Garrett. That year he had 2 years ago, like the record-breaking year. He didn't get a single MVP vote. Like
I mean, the year that what's his face? Micah Parsons had it was a rookie year, his second year, which he broke like every Cowboy record.
I mean, we're getting away from it a little bit. We're getting
it's just the point of the MVP. Sorry, go ahead.
So I'm gonna keep it moving here, guys. All right. So Anthony, this is for you. The Miami Dolphins are 5th in the NFL in points per game, 29, and 2nd in points per drive in 5 games since Tua's return. With a win tomorrow, how optimistic can we be about the Dolphins' chances of being a real threat in the playoffs?
Oh my God, dude. If we win tomorrow, I'm going to be insufferable. Let me tell you, because I feel like this is the most difficult matchup we have the rest of our schedule. And if Tua goes out there, and this team has been unable to beat the top teams in the league, right? Last year we were amazing. We started 10-0 or whatever. We couldn't beat the top teams in the league. If we can beat Green Bay in Lambeau in 20-degree weather on Thanksgiving night, holy crap.
On prime time.
Next Wednesday, in prime time, next Wednesday show is going to be lit because I'm going to feel invincible. Like, how could you not? Right? Yeah. 100% if we win tomorrow, look out. Because if we make every team in the AFC is going to be hoping we don't make the playoffs because we'll be the hot hand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, Keith, last one. I'm going to hit one before we go, but Tua was out 4 games. They averaged 10 points a game. He's back. Now they average 30. It doesn't take rocket science to figure this thing out. The guy is Magic Johnson. Hold on. I never seen a guy see the field so quickly, get the ball out of his hands so quickly into these little holes where only his guys can catch it. He's a magician. That's from Jason Garrett. So my question is, how would you feel with Jason Garrett, a quarterback guru, taking some sort of position in Miami if it were to open up?
No.
Never.
No, I want nothing. No. I want nothing to do with Jason Garrett, man.
If I could give you a high five, I would.
My dad's a Cowboys fan. So
that's why I gave this to you.
Yeah. And so I watched Jason Garrett coach football teams for way longer than he ever deserved. And no, man, like he's actually a decent analyst. I like what he says on TV, but that man does not belong in a coaching room for the rest of his life. I'm sorry, Jason, but that's the truth.
You know, he's trying.
And, yeah, I'm sure he is. But he was the Dolphins offensive coordinator way back when. And he was supposed to be this wonderkind, this guy that's this up and coming head coach. And then in Dallas, he just underperformed and got more leash from Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones showed a ridiculous amount of patience with Jason Garrett. I would have been done with him after 3 seasons. Yeah, no way I'd want Jason Garrett anywhere near the Dolphins. Absolutely not.
That's funny.
It's the
All right, so I'm gonna end
It's
this-
the Aaron Rodgers of coaching.
Yeah, I'm going to end this really quick with an Omar Kelly quip.
Ugh.
He goes, the way the Dolphins are playing at this minute, they can beat any team but Kansas City and Baltimore, in my opinion. My reply to Omar is, as a Dolphins writer, you got to put all the respect on our name. You just basically, with that statement, just say we can compete with anybody and leave it at that.
Yeah.
He's one of the most negative Dolphins writers out there, though. To see
Oh,
him
he's
say
always
that, it's a little
throwing shade.
surprising.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's look at the chat before we move on to the Packers game here, guys, because there was a lot of stuff said. Marino is over to his level. I can certainly understand why you would say that. DS. Defense wins. We had Lynn Dickey. Bro, how old are you? Lynn Dickey?
That's a good pull.
Tua might end up in a similar situation. And Marino can't beat Josh. He's also in the Mahomes there. Again, he's only 6 seasons into his career. When the story's over, we might be singing a different tune. The S is 52, by the way. So Lynn Dickey, okay, fair enough.
Makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. You're spoiled, DS, though. All you Packers fans, you're spoiled out there. You go from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers, now Jordan Love. And
Lynn
meanwhile,
Dickey apparently before that.
Yeah. Yeah. And meanwhile, the Dolphins, went through the desert for 20 years trying to search for a quarterback, and now it's Tua, who they finally found, and he can't stay healthy. Let's see. Mr. Stickle Fritz. He loves this segment, Steve. We're definitely going to continue it, and I think we've found a name for it. We're going to get an intro for it next week. So stay tuned for that. But this segment's here to stay, guys. Marino was a surgeon with a rocket arm, so if he hit guys way open, then it's because he read the defense perfectly. Yeah,
I mean, it's true, but it's still
yeah.
it's still a different game than today.
Yeah.
To that point, I think like when you're comparing across eras, I think you just have to compare like what's your guy's impact in his era compared to the other guy's impact in his. Like Marino was a top 3 quarterback, right? Tua's not there yet, but he could be.
Yeah.
I would argue that he's top 5.
I think there's an argument to be made for that. Not many people outside of Miami would listen to it, though, Steve.
No, we'll get a few comments down. You'll see this. Like, I think what DS said a little further down is exactly what the majority of fans think of Tua. Yeah, right.
Miami has Tua throwing quick passes, short to mid range, and all teams must play zone because of your team's. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but that's also that's also one of Tua's strengths. You play this team man to man, he's going to carve you up. You play his team in zone. You play the Dolphins in zone. You play Tua in zone. Okay, fine. Maybe you stand a chance, but Tua can still carve you up with his accuracy. So if he reads your defense correctly, it's over. You're toast.
Well, they did stop us this year, right? Teams adjusted to a too high.
We block the middle.
Block the middle, and we've adjusted right back. It took us a while.
Yeah,
but we've adjusted now. Yeah.
But I think Jonnu, and we've sang Jonnu's praises this shows previous. He's been instrumental in that, in kind of breaking up these zones, and a big reason why we've all been screaming for the Dolphins to use their tight end for once. They didn't use Gesicki when he was here, and now they're using Jonnu.
He was hot garbage.
Yeah, well, he was hot garbage blocking. He couldn't block, but receiving.
He couldn't run though.
He's a decent receiver.
Oh,
I mean, he's shown that since all right, so let's move on to this Packers game, guys.
I am so excited for this conversation.
All right. So look, it warrants being said first and foremost with this Packers game that the Dolphins have been bad in weather games under 40 degrees. They've been bad on the road in the latter portion of the season, November, December. And it's going to snow. This game is kind of a perfect storm for the Dolphins to go out there and put up a dud. So talk me off that ledge, Anthony. Why aren't the Dolphins going to put up a dud this?
Because I don't really think we put up a dud against Kansas City. If Tyreek Hill can catch a freaking touchdown, which he dropped 2 of, and one other receiver dropped the 3rd, that's 3 touchdowns dropped in that game. And that was like below 0 temperatures. Listen, and for the Packers fans, if you're new here, which I know you guys are, we tend to stay very positive on this show. So we're going to probably annoy you a little bit with how positive we are on this approach. But listen, it's the team knows. They've been answering questions. Like the first question that Mike McDaniel was asked after beating the Patriots was, well, what are you going to do next week in Green Bay in the cold? Like the guy didn't even get a chance to enjoy the victory before reporters were already like, well, there's this narrative that you guys can't play in the cold. And we played Buffalo pretty well in the cold. I truly think the Kansas City game wasn't as bad as the score ended up saying. So listen, I really hope they break this narrative. Can I talk you off a ledge? No, because I don't have enough proof right now to suggest that they are good in the cold. But we're hot at the right time. It's not yet December. So that's our month where we just fall apart. So I think that the temperature and the weather is not going to be as big of a factor in this game as the fact that we're facing an 8-3 team who is extremely good. That's what I'm more scared of than I am of the weather.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you wanted me to go beyond the weather, Keith, but that's where I sit there.
We'll start with the weather. Because that's the narrative surrounding. That's going to be the narrative surrounding this game. All day tomorrow. They're going to be talking about how the Dolphins can't play in cold weather games. So,
sorry, but the chat just made a good point too. The atmosphere also worries me more than the weather.
Their fans are lit and they turn up like crazy.
Yeah, they do.
Dude.
They do.
Yeah.
Lambeau is not a fun place to play if you're.
It's a fun place to go and watch a game, though. I'll tell you what. One of my best experiences ever seeing a game.
I'd love to see a game there, even if it's not against the Dolphins. But it's not the cold at Lambeau. It's the field. Teams struggle with their cleats. It's way worse than the cold because we run a boiler under the field and it's extremely slick.
Hey, look at that insider info.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
I like it.
No, me neither. But that's some good stuff there, DS. And it's not all about temp. I get it. I understand. But so Steve, talk to me about the weather. Talk to me about I mean, Anthony didn't really talk me off the ledge. He didn't really. So maybe you can.
I feel good about the game. I mean, even Tua, he's excited to kill the narrative about playing in the cold. Tua's not afraid. I don't think this team's afraid. We're kind of hot right now. We're kicking on all cylinders. Like I said, we were a diesel truck warming up, and I think right now we're,
That's a good analogy.
we're cooking right now, and I don't think there's a whole lot stopping us. I mean, if reports are true that I'm seeing, Yair Alexander's not playing this tomorrow night.
Dobbs isn't either.
Yeah,
and Edrin Cooper, their linebacker.
Yeah, Edrin Cooper's out. Romeo Dobbs is out. So they're looking a little bit more banged up. We're getting a little healthier. We're getting a little bit better as our younger guys are developing more and more. Chop. I haven't been a big Chop fan, but he's a Penn State boy. He's used to this cold weather. He thrives in this stuff. I think a lot of our defensive line actually isn't. They've been in Florida long enough, but I don't think any of them are too worried about, how cold it's going to get. And I think that's where we're going to win this game. I think the trenches are the difference maker here. We both have a good quarterback. We both have good receiving core. We both have a good defense that shows up when it needs to so far this season. And the Packers really aren't bad at anything. I was looking at their stats earlier. They're a good team. So we have to come out on all cylinders, and we're running on all cylinders. I don't see why, there's a reason why this game is not out of reach, let alone that the Packers might even be the ones chasing us for most of the game. So, yeah, as Anthony says, it's going to come down to who wants it more. It's going to be a tough guy contest by the fourth quarter. It's going to be cold. It's going to be wet. It's going to be late. And that's what it's going to be. All football skill goes out the door. It's now strength and mental fortitude. So if it's really going to be that cold, that wet, it's going to be who wants it more. Miami needs it.
Mental fortitude isn't exactly our strong point. I think you just put silly
gonna
Fins
have to
fan
be.
back on the ledge.
It's gonna have to be. With Tua
Yeah.
in, hey, with Tua in, our defense has mentally been way better. And our penalties have been down. Just the whole team got rejuvenated with Tua coming in. So I do think that mentally we're way, way better than we were, week 3, 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would certainly agree with that because without Tua, we just kind of sleepwalked through games. It felt like, and we're not doing that right now. Josh, talk to me about this game, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think the weather narrative gets way blunt, way out of proportion, right? Have you been to Alabama in the winter? I have. It's freaking cold, man. It snows. It's freaking cold. Like it's not Kansas City cold, but it's cold. And I think all of these, with the technology that these teams have for the sidelines with the heaters and the heated helmet things. I mean, look, it's cold, fine. I think it's just kind of a coincidence more than a narrative that we lose to teams in the cold, because who do we tend to play in the cold? The team that owns
Buffalo.
the teams that owns our number in Buffalo, right? So I don't put a lot of stock into, it's cold, so Miami struggles, right? I think that's a very easy narrative. Oh, Miami, it's hot and humid. They're going to somewhere cold and dry. No, like these guys are professional athletes from around the United States. They're not all from Miami. And I will say this, Luke Musgraves is still out, which sucks for one of my fantasy teams. They're to Steve's point, they're missing Alexander, Dobbs, Cooper, who I'm a big fan of at the linebacker position. And let's not forget, who do they play the week after us? They play Detroit. Yeah. Could this be a trap game? Now, I'm not I don't believe in trap games, but hey, sometimes teams overlook who they're playing. Right.
They play Detroit next week.
They play Detroit.
The schedule makers hate you guys.
Right?
Brutal.
I will say this: Tucker Kraft, to DS's point in the chat, Tucker Kraft is a monster, right? But I will say this: Miami is 5-2 all time on Thanksgiving games. Cool stat, right? We're riding a 3-game winning streak.
Upset the Cowboys last year.
I'm just saying, right? Green Bay does unfortunately have a record against AFC East or AFC teams this year at 4-0. But Jordan Love has only 2 games this season of over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now I know there's an asterisk because he was injured for some of those. But look at the stats that Tua's been putting up in this winning streak. I mean, I'm just saying, it's, in my opinion. Now, I'm sure some of the Green Bay fans in the chat can school me. I'm not pretending to know the Packers more so than a fan of football and doing research on statistics and players. But I truly believe that this Packers team goes as Josh Jacobs goes. I think Jordan Love is an awesome quarterback. I'm not slighting him in any way, shape, or form. But I think, unlike the Dolphins, where we go as Tua goes, this team goes as Josh Jacobs goes. And I think if we can, hopefully Weaver is keeping that in mind and game planning accordingly. I think if we have to make one of those 2 players in Jordan Love or Josh Jacobs beat us, I would rather force Jordan Love to make the plays all game long than watch Josh Jacobs run it down our throats for 145 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Watch Christian Watson drop the ball enough to know that, throw it to him. Let's see what happens. Let's put it in his hands.
Yep.
All right. So offensively, how do you see the Dolphins handling this? Because we've mentioned it. We kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. The running game for the Dolphins has been lacking. It was lacking against the Raiders. It was lacking against the Patriots. It was good against the Rams.
It was opportunistic against the other 2 teams. We didn't have a shit ton of yards.
But it wasn't consistent. And so my thing is I want to see the Dolphins run the ball with some consistency in this cold weather where, maybe their speed is going to be negated a little bit by the elements and the boiler underneath the field that DS clued us in on. So what do you? So my personal key to the game, my personal key to victory here is to see the Dolphins run the ball with some consistency. Because first and foremost, you keep the ball out of the hands of Jordan Love and his stable of wide receivers, which is really underrated. Dontavian Wicks and Christian Watson and Jaden Reed. You know, Romeo Dobbs is out, but he's really good too. Tucker Kraft, and Josh Jacobs. Keep the ball out of the offense's hands because that offense is deadly, and keep them on the sidelines. These long sustained drives that Tua has kind of been doing with the against the Raiders and the Patriots. We're going to need more of that. That's my key to the game. That's my key.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah,
that's my key.
So, Steve, talk to me. What's your key to victory here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you running the ball. And I wanted to say this during the jockstrap portion where McDaniel had Tua throw it 44 times, and I think he only handed the ball off 26.
40. Thrown it 40 times. He was 29 to 40.
Okay, so he threw it 40 and handed it off 20 sometimes. Whatever it was.
24?
Nearly half. Yeah. It was nearly doubled. I don't think that's going to fly this game. If it really is too cold, if it really is too wet and too windy, we're going to have to do what I believe Green Bay is notoriously bad at doing in prime time, stopping the run. They don't really do it that great on prime time. I mean, I can think of Colin Kaepernick tearing them up. I can think of that. I know that one hurts a few of them. My buddy's probably going to say something here, but regardless, there's been players on primetime TV that they just haven't. Adrian Peterson, I mean, he did it to everybody, but it seems like it's their Achilles heel how primetime TV in general is ours. Stopping the run game is theirs. And I think it's something that we're going to have to do. We have 3 competent running backs that can do it. We have to give it to all 3. I think it's going to be a combined effort in this win. And like I said earlier, it's going to happen in the trenches. It's going to be who wants it more at the tough guy competition right up front with them linemen.
Anthony, what's your key to victory?
I mean, geez, and the Dolphins have to know this. If I'm the Green Bay Packers coaching staff, my game plan is we're going to give the ball to Josh Jacobs 103 times in a row because we're the 30th ranked rush defense for a reason. We stink. And I know that we've been playing a little bit better these past couple of weeks. But even so, Josh Jacobs is 3rd in the league in rushing for a reason, right?
It's scary.
If Saquon and Derrick Henry weren't having these elite seasons, he'd be right up there. 944 yards. It's insane. So I think, my key to the game is find a way to stop the run. Put the ball in Jordan Love's hands. Like Josh mentioned before, this team's averaging 381 yards a game this past 4 games. That's insane. If you think we're doing really well our past 4 games, we're only averaging 334. So they're averaging 50 more yards a game. So in the way that we're feeling good because we're coming in hot, they're coming in off of a 38-10 shellacking of the San Francisco 49ers, right? They feel great coming into this game. And they're at home. They're in their conditions. They're with their fans. We are the underdog, very much so. And they are going to do everything they can to just run that ball as much as they can. And not to mention... Sorry, go ahead, Keith.
No, this is a game that conventional wisdom tells you the Dolphins are going to lose.
Not to mention their defense since the bye has been night and day, right? Mm-hmm. They only led 10 points to the 49ers. They had a close game against the Bears where they barely eked them out 20-19 on a missed field goal, I think, or a blocked field goal. But still, they only let up 19 points that game. So their defense is playing well. These 2 teams, to me, it's a perfect matchup at the perfect time. And like the Packers fans in our chat have mentioned, they're dealing with a few more injuries than we are, so maybe that ends up being the difference. But, man, I've never seen a closer matchup between an 8-3 team and a 4-6 team, or 5-6 team. It's crazy. And I know that we wouldn't be 5-6 if we had 2 all year. Okay, I know. but these 2 teams meeting at this moment on Thanksgiving night, this is going to be such a good game, and I hope it lives up to the hype.
And not to mention, both coaches are Shanahan disciples, so spot on, Anthony. Truly, peas and pod here, right? No pun intended.
Yeah.
Well-
so my key to the game: stop the run. That's a long-winded way of saying if we don't stop the run, we lose this game.
Yeah. This should most definitely be the best Thanksgiving game.
Oh,
We
yeah.
touched on that earlier, Anthony. Cowboys, Giants. I'll watch it because it's on. Bears, Lions. Could be a decent game. Could be a blowout in favor of the Lions. This should be a fun game to watch for fans of not the Dolphins and Packers. For me, I'm going to be on the edge of my seat, biting my fingernails, maybe throwing up my turkey.
Our
I don't
internal
know.
chat on our phones, guys, our team chat is going to be
Oh, yeah.
lit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so angry. I feel like.
Hey, I just wanted
Yeah.
I wanted to make one more point about the run game, right? I mean, obviously, my key to victory is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Let's just keep doing what we've been doing. Let's stack the dubs. But I also want to say it's not just our run game is not simply just the running backs running the ball, right?
Yeah.
Our screen game with Achane is an extension of our run game. Our screen game passing with Wright, albeit in a small sample size, with if Raheem Mostert ever decides to show up again. Last year was amazing in the passing game. That is also an extension of our run game. So where our run totals at the end of a game might look a little sus, if you look at what our receiving numbers are compared with our running backs and put all of those numbers together, that gives you a truer or a more true representation of our running backs production. And I think that the screen game is going to be huge. Achane is going to have a monster game it has the potential to have a monster game this week.
Yeah. Them not having Alexander is a problem for them, but don't forget they signed Xavier McKinney this offseason.
Oh,
7
been unbelievable.
interceptions. Yeah,
He's
tied
so
for
good.
first.
He's gonna be a first team All Pro come season.
Oh, my goodness.
He's having an unbelievable.
And he's got
unbelievable year.
history with Tua from Alabama, so he knows. I'm not saying Tua hasn't evolved, but there are tendencies that you keep for your entire career, right? And I'll tell you what, that safety is one bad mamma jamma.
Yeah, he is.
Their safeties seem to get involved. Like, I'm just looking at stats. I obviously don't watch a lot of Packers games, but their safeties, like Javon Bullard, Xavier McKinney, and Evan Williams, they all have a lot of tackles. So they seem to use their safeties a lot, probably to stop the run.
Which might help us if you think about it. If they're pulling one safety down and leaving one high safety against our 2-3 speed guys in Achane, well, we could see a couple big plays finally this year.
My worry there is that they'll be much better at stopping the swing pass that we've gotten really good at over these past 3 games. And Quay Walker too. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Quay Walker,
yeah.
really good linebacker.
Totally forgot about
so
him.
the defense is good, and Anthony mentioned that in the chat earlier, and I want to put it up for anybody who's watching this later and doesn't see
The whole
chat.
team is good. The offensive line is good. Like they are a solidly built football team. Very few holes there. I'm going to be like we're talking about this game, and my stomach is doing cartwheels right now.
Well, let's not forget, Keith. We also have a top 10 defense or a top 7 defense right now. I mean, our defense internally, we nitpick. But they're playing out of their minds right now.
Yeah, they are. And I'd like to see them keep that up against the Packers. Let's not get it twisted. They looked great against the Patriots and the Raiders. Actually, they didn't look that great against the Raiders.
But they did against the Rams.
They did against the Rams, and let's not lie to ourselves. The San Francisco team that the Packers beat and the Bears team that we just talked about, those San Francisco isn't San Francisco now. They're not playing
backup quarterback.
You know what I mean? Like, let's be real, right?
And you're playing Tampa too. Yeah. I mean, everybody plays Tampa 2 against the Dolphins.
Hey, maybe we can trade McKinney for Poyer.
There you go.
That seems fair.
I mean,
I
I
like
think that's
that.
fair.
I like it.
We give him Julian Hill too.
Yeah,
and OBJ.
Yeah,
take them.
Just sweeten the pot.
At that matter, take Chris Greer too. You can have them all.
No,
Send Xavier our way. All right, so guys, we're getting up to an hour and a half here. I know, Josh, I'm sure you're not done cooking for the night.
No, I have to do this every game because we've been on a win streak since I've been doing this, boys.
So we got to do predictions too.
Yeah, I know.
They rejected our trade already too. That was the quickest rejection I've ever seen.
Come on,
that is selfish. That is selfish.
What if I just try to? Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come
Anthony, don't be selfish.
We can give you Skylar Thompson. You need a great backup, right? I mean, this guy. Chef's
All right,
kiss.
so team stats, fellas. These actually paint a very good picture, and that's why I like doing them every week. And I've only been doing them for a handful of weeks, and for those handful of weeks, we've won every game. So until then, until we lose, I'm going to keep doing them. So just bear with me, fellas. But Packers, 225 total first downs to our 217. I mean, when I'm going through these, you'll see they're pretty damn close across the board. 47 out of 125 third down for the Packers to our 59 of 141. 5 out of 10 on fourth downs for the Packers to our 5 of 18.
Man, we stink at fourth down.
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
But
adjust
because we
that.
go for them a lot. And early in the season, remember how many times were we on here like, Mike McDaniel, what the hell? Just kick the damn field goal. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Packers, 1,668 total rushing yards on the season to our 1,258
Okay.
for an average of 4.8 yards per carry for the Packers to our 4.9 yards per carry.
Ooh.
All right.
Right?
All right.
So I'm just saying, like these stats, I mean, these teams stack up very comparably. 2,624 total passing yards on the season for the Packers to our 2,477 with Tua missing 4 games or 5. Was it 5 games? 4 games? 5 games?
I don't
4.5.
remember. 4.5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Round up 6 games. No, I'm kidding. Green Bay, 8.2 yards per pass to our 6.9, which makes sense given our quarterback situation. 15 total sacks for the Packers to our 27. I thought that number was very interesting.
Yeah.
And 33 total touchdowns for the Packers to our 22.
Yeah. And fair point, DS. Fair point. Strength of schedule is certainly comes into play here. Can't really deny what you're saying other than
Ant's calling you
Anthony, that's a dick move, dude.
all right.
Sorry.
So yeah, I get
That's
it.
who they have
Eagles,
left?
Lions, Vikings, Bears. That's
Jesus,
that's
what
who
a
they've
gauntlet.
played.
We have
That's
the
what they
9th
played.
easiest. They have the 27th. They have the 27th. So
Yeah.
5th hardest. Yeah.
You've had a hell of a schedule so far.
Mhm.
I don't know that I'd throw the Bears in with that group, but yeah, sure.
Or the Texans. CJ Stroud looks like a pedestrian right now.
I mean, and you caught the Eagles in week 1, and look, I'm
Two
not
good
gonna
teams,
argue with
man.
you. I'm not
Two
going to
good
argue with you. You had a harder schedule.
But it don't
But-
matter now.
Yep. So we're getting into predictions. Steve, I'm going to start with you. Give me your prediction for the game.
I think it's going to be a overtime game. We're going to have a
Ooh.
defensive stand, and Miami's going to win 34-31.
Okay.
34-30. I got to write these down. Sorry.
27-13
'em, yeah.
DS. All right.
34-21. Is that what you said, Steve?
31. It's
31.
overtime. Yep. We get
Okay.
a
All right.
defensive stand.
Anthony. Prediction.
Yeah, boys, sorry to do this to you, but I actually think we go down in this one. I can't give
Oof.
them a predicted win until they show me they can beat a top-tier team. So I have Green Bay winning 27-23. I think the difference is 1 touchdown, right? We score 2 touchdowns and 3 field goals. They get 3 touchdowns and 2 field goals. It ends up a 27-23 score. And I do think we walk away feeling good about this game because I think it's a competitive matchup. I just don't think we have enough juice.
Josh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty close to you, Anthony, except I have us winning this 27-25. Miami winning it. I think this is a very close game that comes down. I could see a scenario in which Green Bay goes up like 10-3 or 13-3 or something like that, and then Miami strings together a couple drives and our defense strings together a couple of good stops. This is going to be a nail biter, but this is the kind of game that you want, right? These are the kind of games that I personally feel like teams need in the season, especially leading closer to the playoffs, because every team you're going to play in the playoffs, and yes, I'm saying it now, fellas, I think we make the playoffs. Every single team that you play in the playoffs are going to be the Green Bay Packers type game where they're great on defense. They're great on offense. It's just who makes the mistake. Who makes the offsides? Who jumps or lines up in the neutral zone? Who drops the pass? Tyreek Hill. Those kind of things are going to determine a 3-point win versus a 3-point loss. And I think the rhythm that we have going, the how this team is bought in, and the structure of the plays. I mean, I could go on for hours about it. I think we pull this out in a very competitive game, though.
It's the game at the end of the season that we're reminiscing on the most, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, they might too. If they lose, this could
True.
be it for that. They're in third place. I mean, they have a great record, but it doesn't mean that they're
Which is wild, guys.
Yeah.
They're 8 and whatever, and
8
they're
and
in third
3.
place.
And they're in third place in their division.
Well,
Yeah.
I will say, I do think also in my prediction, I know I alluded to it earlier. I think the fact that they're playing Detroit next week really does. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to completely shut them down, but that's a big game for them.
Josh, you talked about the team that makes that mistake or commits
Mhm.
that penalty or gives up that turnover. Typically in seasons past, that team's been the Dolphins
Mhm.
that commits that turnover, that commits that penalty. And conventional wisdom, like we said earlier, points to the Packers in this game. With the being, whether it be the weather, whether it be the Dolphins collapsing toward the end of the season. But you know what? This is a different Dolphins team. And they are fighting from the bottom and working their way up here rather than being on the top and fending off teams below them. I certainly understand where you're coming from, Anthony, in a loss. And maybe if I wasn't a Dolphins fan, I'd be on board with you. But I'm gonna be optimistic here. I'm gonna say the Dolphins win this one 22-20 on a last-second field goal by Jason Sanders.
22 or 23? Sorry.
22 to 20. 22 to 20. I think there's going to be a lot of field goals in this game. It's going to be a tough game.
I think it's the best game of the week too.
Yeah,
hands down.
My stomach's already doing cartwheels, guys. I don't know.
Isn't it great though, fellas? Like, it's nerve-wracking, but isn't it awesome to be?
I'm so excited.
Like,
it's a lot better than week 3 through 6. I can tell you that. 3 through 7.
Yeah, Keith had to hold me from jumping off a damn bridge.
I don't know how I'm
boys
supposed
are
to.
coming over. Yeah.
Oh,
I don't know how I'm supposed to eat Thanksgiving turkey tomorrow with how I'm feeling right now.
Oh, screw that!
And-
happily, in
It's only
abundance.
You may
Yeah.
throw it up later in the night, but you still got to eat it.
Yeah, true. All right, so we're up to an hour and a half here, guys. It's time to sign off for the week. Do we have any last thoughts, Anthony? Any last thoughts here?
Just happy Thanksgiving, everybody. No matter what happens in this game, I just want it to be competitive. Truly, as a Dolphins fan, we, after Tua went down, had zero expectations. At least I had zero expectations that we'd even be in a position to reach the playoffs. And then especially when Tua came back and we lost 2 straight. So to be in this position where we were facing the Packers and largely the larger NFL fan audience believes this is going to be a good game, a competitive game. I'm super pumped about that. If we pull out the win, I will be so happy to eat crow on this prediction. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and hopefully this is a great game.
Absolutely. I almost went Packers too, Anthony. I really did.
I mean, look, 20 by 2 points, you can go either way, man.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call a draw. No,
22 to 22.
Steve, any last thoughts?
Yeah, man, everybody have a happy Thanksgiving. There's a real good possibility I won't be available next week. There's an even greater possibility I won't be available the week after that if I do make it next week.
Yeah.
So if I don't see you guys next week, have a good Thanksgiving. Love you all. Be full. Have a good time with your family and, stay safe.
Congratulations if we don't see you just ahead of time.
Absolutely.
I'll send
Bringing
pictures.
on a new
I'll
Phins
send
Forecast
pictures.
fan.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm pumped. I'll send pictures.
Yeah. And obviously, good luck to you guys. We'll talk tomorrow, Steve. I'm sure.
Yeah.
We'll all talk tomorrow for sure.
Yeah. Josh, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, look, not to pile on what everyone else said. Happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners, to all of you guys, my fellow hosts and friends. I think just please be safe out there. Enjoy your family. Enjoy kind of a recharge from having hopefully some time off of work. But either way, while you're out there driving, it is a big travel day today and tomorrow. So please be safe, no matter where you are at, and go Dolphins.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Anthony DS, Mr. Snickle Fritz, thank you guys for tuning in.
Yeah.
We
Shout
really
out to the Packers fan, man.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. For
They
you
try
Say
guys.
hi to
well,
Tom
I
Grassi
guess.
for me. Fan of the year, Tom Grassi over there. I don't know if
Yeah,
you guys know
yeah.
who that is, but
He's hilarious, Tom Grassi.
yeah.
But
The NFL, for those of you who don't, I think the NFL fan of the year this year. He's also a YouTuber. His name's Tom Grassi. He's a big Green Bay Packer fan.
yeah.
So
Yeah, but we appreciate everybody tuning in. For myself, for Anthony, for Steve, for Josh, happy Thanksgiving. We will see you guys next week. Go Phins. Phins up, baby. We'll see you guys next Wednesday. Have a good night.
Let's go.